Everyone was focused on the choreography. Everyone was focused on the suits, the long hair, and the epic hallway scene. But there was one small object that almost everyone missed. And once you know what it is, and what it means to Suga on a deeply personal level, you will never be able to watch the 2.0 MV the same way again. That object is a danso, a traditional Korean bamboo flute. And the story behind why Suga was holding it in that MV is not just about culture. It is not just about art. It is about a childhood wound that has been carried quietly for years. About one person in BTS who knows exactly what all of it means, and about one small moment inside a multi-million-dollar music video that turned out to be the most personal thing Suga has ever put on camera. And Jimin, out of all 7 members, is the one who knows this story best. Stay here, because at the end of this video, there is one detail that even the most hardcore Yoonmin shippers might not have caught yet. Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. If you love deep BTS analysis, not just moment compilations with no context, you are in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because content like this you are not going to find anywhere else. Alright, let's get into it. April 1st, 2026, BTS released the second music video from their album Ari Wrong, a track called 2.0. Within hours, the video exploded. 1.5 million views in the first 30 minutes, 8.5 million views in 12 hours, trending in dozens of countries simultaneously. ARMY around the world sat frozen in front of their screens, watching 7 men in suits step out of an elevator and face a group of thugs. Not with fists, but with dance. The concept was inspired by the legendary Korean film Old Boy, directed by Park Chan-wook. The iconic corridor scene from that film, long, one-take, exhausting, was reimagined by BTS in their own way. Not with punching or fighting, but with choreography so synchronized, so sharp, so controlled, that it felt more lethal than any weapon could ever be. And in the middle of all that cinematic chaos, there was one small detail that not many people noticed. When the elevator doors opened and 7 BTS members stood facing their opponents in the dark hallway, each member pulled something out. Not a knife, not a weapon, not a clenched fist. Jungkook pulled out a traditional Korean fan featuring the Samtaeguk symbol, an ancient Korean philosophical motif representing heaven, earth, and humanity. RM pulled out an upside-down newspaper, and Suga pulled out a danso, a traditional Korean bamboo flute. Thin, dark, and for anyone who has been following BTS for a long time, that object is not just a prop, that object is a story. Now, before we get into the core of this, there is one thing you need to understand first. Within the ARMY community, especially among fans who have followed BTS since the early days, there is a story about Suga that has been circulating for years. This story has never been officially confirmed, there is no official statement from Suga, nothing from Big Hit, but it has become part of the fandom's oral history that almost every hardcore ARMY knows. The story is simple. When he was a child, Min Yoongi, Suga's real name, was once hit near his ear with a danso by a classmate named Gwanchang at school. He was taken for a medical checkup afterward. No serious injury was found. That's it. Not dramatic, not big. But in the world of the BTS fandom, that story became one of the most well-known childhood tales about Suga, turned into jokes, made into memes, brought up in live streams, discussed in threads on Twitter/X and Weverse for years and years. And now, in the biggest BTS music video in 4 years, Suga is holding that danso in his left hand, in front of the camera, in front of the entire world. Within minutes of the 2.0 MV dropping, fans who caught this detail flooded Twitter X. The tweet from @SweeneyTang went viral immediately. What Suga is holding is a danso, a traditional Korean bamboo flute. The tweet included a screenshot of the frame from the MV and a brief explanation of the childhood story, and within hours it racked up hundreds of thousands of views. @Yoongi Stood wrote, "Yoongi got hit in the head with a Danso in elementary school, and now he's holding one in the BTS MV. It is time for revenge." @BluntObject combined the Danso with Jungkook's Sam Taeguk fan and called it the ultimate item of Asian parents, a mix of a traditional musical instrument and an ancestral cultural symbol that made everyone laugh and feel emotional at the same time. But among all of those reactions, one response was quoted and shared the most by Jimin shippers. "Music is their weapon, and Suga brought his childhood story to the battlefield. There is nothing more Yoongi than this." But hold on, because this is the part that almost never gets talked about, and this is what will make this video feel different from everything else out there. When fans started discussing the Danso and Suga's childhood story, one name kept coming up in the comment threads. One name that was mentioned over and over by ARMY as the member who brings up this story the most across various live streams and BTS content. That name was Jimin. Not RM, whose knowledge about everything is encyclopedic. Not Jungkook, who is close to Suga as a fellow member who lived nearby. Not J-Hope, who is expressive and bright. Not V, who loves sharing funny stories about other members. Jimin. ARMY, who have followed BTS for a long time, clearly remember several live stream moments where Jimin, in his own way, relaxed and natural, would mention or hint at small stories about Suga that most people outside the inner circle would not know. About his habits, about how Suga interacts behind the camera, about small things that can only be known by someone who was genuinely there. And this is not a coincidence. Jimin and Suga, within the BTS dynamic, have a relationship that is uniquely layered. Suga is the Hung from Daegu. Jimin is the Dongsang from Busan. Two different cities, two characters that are almost polar opposites. Suga, quiet, analytical, introverted. Jimin, expressive, emotionally driven, always seeking genuine connection. But it is precisely those two contrasting energies that make Yoonmin one of the most talked about dynamics in BTS history. And what is even more striking is this. If you pay close attention to the pattern of how Jimin and Suga interact with each other across the years, not on stage, but in BTS's informal content, there is one thread that runs through all of it with striking consistency. Suga shows the most relaxed, unguarded version of himself when Jimin is nearby. That is not to say Suga is uncomfortable around the other members, but there is a noticeable difference between how Suga engages with Jimin compared to everyone else. In Run BTS, in Festa content, in unscripted moments that cameras have caught over the years, there is something different there. In one of the most memorable Run BTS episodes, Suga chose Jimin as his first partner in a team game, not out of strategy, but because, in Suga's own words at the time, it was already a habit. In a fan meet, when a fan asked what Suga's favorite type of rice cake was, Jimin suddenly cut in, calling out his own nickname in Korean, Mangaetok, and Suga, without missing a beat, responded, "I actually don't like rice cakes that much, but Mangaetok isn't bad." A small exchange that looked insignificant, but one that kept Yoonmin shippers awake for 3 days straight. In the documentary BTS The Return, released on March 27, 2026, there is one scene that many people scrolled past because it was not dramatic enough to catch attention. In it, Suga and Jimin are sitting not too far from each other in the studio. No particular dialogue, no big moment. Suga is playing guitar on his own, serious and focused, and Jimin is nearby, doing something else, but occasionally glancing in Suga's direction, as if quietly checking that everything is okay. Neither of them said anything, but the presence was there, the awareness of each other was there. And that is what ARMY calls quiet Yoonmin. Not dramatic moments, not obvious physical affection, but a consistent presence, a habit of always knowing where the other one is. Now, back to the Danso. There is one question that not many people asked after the 2.0 MV dropped. Who decided that Suga would be the one holding the Danso? In a music video of this scale, with a serious budget, a structured creative team, and cultural references that were clearly thought through very carefully, every prop held by every member was not a random choice. Jungkook holding the Sam Taegeuk fan was not accidental. RM holding an upside-down newspaper was without meaning. And Suga holding the Danso, was that a decision made by the creative team who was simply looking for a strong Korean cultural symbol? Or was there someone or a group of people within the BTS team who knew exactly what that object meant to Suga on a personal level and chose to put it there deliberately? We do not know the answer, and we may never know. But if you watch how Suga holds that Danso in the MV, not awkwardly, not hesitantly, but with confidence, ease, and even a hint of humor in his expression, it feels like he knew exactly why that object was in his hand. Fans on X picked up on that energy immediately. The way he holds it, it's like he has finally made peace with that story, like he took something painful and turned it into a weapon, and the weapon is music and culture and himself. That tweet received hundreds of thousands of likes, and among everyone who retweeted it, Yoonmin shipper accounts filled nearly half the list.
Because for the Yoonmin community, and this is the deepest layer of everything we have discussed, the Danso is not just a cultural symbol. The Danso is not just an Easter egg in a music video. The Danso is proof that Suga, even after 13 years in the most competitive industry in the world, even after millions of albums sold and stadium stages across the globe, still carries his childhood story with him. Still carries a small wound that was not big enough to define him, but real enough to remember. And Jimin, who has been at Suga's side for all 13 of those years, knows all of it. Not because he read a fandom article, not because he watched an analysis video, but because he was there, because they lived together, because they know each other in a way that no camera can ever fully capture. That is why every time Jimin mentions small stories about Suga in a live stream, ARMY reacts so intensely. Not because the moment is dramatic, but because it feels real. It feels like two people who know each other at a level that goes far deeper than co-workers, far deeper than bandmates. And in the AGD 2.0 MV, in the middle of all that cinematic grandeur, there is one frame, one small object, one thin, dark bamboo flute in Suga's right hand. And if you know the story, it feels like watching someone carry the most personal part of themselves into the center of the world stage. Not through words, not through a speech, but through one small object whose meaning is only fully understood by the people who truly know Min Yoongi. And among all 7 members of BTS, Jimin sits at the very top of that list. So now I want to ask you something. After everything we have talked about today, from the Danso and the 2.0 MV, to Suga's childhood story, to the 13-year pattern between Jimin and Suga, what do you feel? Do you think Suga holding the Danso was a deliberate personal decision? Or was it purely a creative choice about Korean cultural symbolism? And beyond that, if you have been following BTS for a long time, which Yoonmin moment do you think is the most underrated? The one that rarely gets talked about but carries the most meaning? Write it in the comments. I read every single one, and I will reply to as many as I can. If this video made you watch the 2.0 MV differently, share it with one person who you think needs to know this story. One share from you means everything to this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we go even deeper into BTS moments that look simple on the surface but carry extraordinary depth underneath. See you in the next video. ARMY, we purple you.